Guest shares a painting by his schoolfellow, Clyde Aspervig, from Montana. Guest admired Aspervig's work and bought the painting at a fundraising auction. Painting titled Snow Ridge is an oil-on canvas from 1979 and was acquired shortly after its creation.
Do have here in the lower right a signature and a date.
Born in 1951, Clyde Aspervig is renowned for his captivating paintings of the Western American art. Aspervig's art beautifully preserves the untouched charm of Montana and Wyoming. He is alive and continues to actively engage with galleries, inspiring art enthusiasts globally. This masterpiece, Snow Ridge, stands as a testament to Aspervig's skill and lasting influence on the art world. The current value of the painting is...
This painting currently would have a replacement value of $50,000.
That's nice.
A guest brought a piece of a historic dollhouse known as the Westbrook Baby House to the show. It dated back to the beginning of the 18th century, specifically 1705, and had been passed down in the family. The appraiser was deeply moved by its preservation, as it had remained essentially unchanged for 311 years. The dollhouse's contents included original pieces from 1705 and items added in subsequent generations. The appraiser also visited the guest's residence to inspect the entire dollhouse. A notable item was a casket from 1705 decorated with shells and paper scraps. Despite fading from years of sunlight exposure, the vibrant colors inside the casket were still preserved. Talking about the dolls themselves, they likely dated back to the 1740s, with hair made of mohair. Acknowledging the national significance, the appraised value was
a conservative estimate of £150,000, maybe £200,000.
The Second World War was filled with a good number of victories and tragedies. Among the tragedies was the sinking of the HMS Hood, a battlecruiser of the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom. Our guest's grandfather served as a buoyman for this ship. Presented to us is a collection of memorabilia from the period. We have a cap tally with the inscription of the ship's name taken off, due to the dangers of spying during the Second World War. We also have his medals from his time in the service of the British Navy. The photographs and other memorabilia of this war veteran who died in service of his nation in the fight against the Nazis is of utmost value, estimated at
£800 to £1,200.
Well, I'll have to tell my granddad that, but we're definitely going to keep them in the family.
That's what I hoped you were going to say.
The intricate patterns and vibrant colors adorning these items are spellbinding, having been handed down to this guest from his father.
I think they used to bundle cigars with these ribbons.
These garments are commonly referred to as tobacco silks. Included in this collection are a smoking jacket, a bathrobe, a quilt, and footwear. It is unusual to find many tobacco silk pieces at once. Items like these were often crafted by housewives circa 1900 to 1910. The garments feature nice Victorian graphics. Being a testament to the craftsmanship and ingenuity of a bygone era, these items would attract an auction value of
total of $6,800 for the total of all 4 pieces.
Oh, very nice.
An important part of an artist's craft is their artist's proof, just like the one we are presented with today, a collection of artist's proofs. This guest was involved in the publication of this collection and was able to acquire this set in the process. A total of 6 etchings are on display.
You have all artist proofs. They're very likely unique.
All done by Salvador Dali, a Spanish surrealist artist renowned for his technical skills and bizarre images in his work. This collection is from Dali's work from the 1960s titled La Vida el Sueño, or Life is a Dream.
Most of the time when people bring Dalis into the show, they're problematic. They're from the mid-70s or later.
As artist proofs, most figures depicted on the items aren't easily interpretable, but they are very valuable regardless. Also visible are the 2 original etched copper plates of 2 of the collection. Nonetheless, this collection offers us a glimpse into the creative process and experimentation that precedes the final masterpiece. Altogether, these items are estimated to be worth
Overall collection, $80,000 for replacement value.
Today's item is so exceptional because its painter, Charles R. Knight, created works for the Museum of Natural History in New York. Charles was a wildlife artist, and as they were not numerous at the time,
he was born in Brooklyn in 1874 and he died in New York in 1953.
Charles's paintings were revered by many for their exceptional talent. This particular painting depicts a Chinese pheasant, which is an exceptional bird. Perhaps the most thrilling aspect of this oil painting is its subtle yet captivating attention to detail. Given the difficulty of painting oil masterpieces with such detail, this painting would auction for.
But I think this at auction now might be worth as much as $2,000 to $3,000. So for your pair, it might be something like $5,000 to $7,000.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Today's piece is much more than a captivating artifact. It's a poster that serves to advertise a product and provides us with a glimpse into the past. A French-made poster of a bicycle for an American audience. It was made for the Cleveland Cycle Company.
The poster itself dates from the 1890s, 1895, 1898, around that time.
The company's logo on the bicycle can be seen on the poster, and the design of the poster was done by an artist called Pal. This poster showcases people bowing to a Native American on a new top-of-the-line American bicycle.
They have discarded all of their old bicycles along the side of the highway. Forget about that old sort of prehistoric junk. Here comes the new great machine, and they're literally worshiping it.
And stone lithography was used to make the poster. A poster of this size, with its condition and the image on it, would be valued at...
I would estimate its value between $4,000 and $6,000.
Okay.
The guest presented pictures that belonged to her father, who worked for the Blackpool Tower Company. These amazing illustrations were created by the Italian artist Fortunato Mattina. The appraiser provided background information about the artist, who skillfully captured action and atmosphere in his work.
He was true natural, worked incredibly fast, and in his day he became extremely famous as a journalist for the Sphere magazine during the First World War.
The stunning pieces depicted vibrant scenes from the tower and its surroundings with lively compositions. The appraiser confidently identified the illustrations as watercolors, noting their matte surface. Remarkably well preserved, the pictures exhibited no signs of fading. The combination of subject matter, quality, and vivid colors greatly contributed to the set's value.
I'm going to put £2,000 to £3,000 each on them, which takes you to £10,000 to £15,000 for the set.
Right.
The guest presented a wedding gown along with various accessories, including an invitation. The beautiful piece was purchased at an auction around 15 years ago for $125. The invitation dated back to 1883, and the wedding took place near Cleveland, Ohio. The appraiser described the gown as a two-piece ensemble made of silk-printed fabric and adorned with scalloped silk lace. The gown's bottom exhibited flawless pleating and intricate detailing. The item was in almost pristine condition with a little damage to the lace that could be repaired. Additionally, the gown was from the bustle period of the 1870s and 1880s. The appraiser explained the function of the bustle pad in shaping the garment and its architectural design.
The bustle pad would have been tied around her waist. That would have given this back shape to the garment.
Considering the condition and historical significance, the potential value was decided to be...
I would say full retail value on it is between $750 and $850 for the dress and shoes, and another $250 for the bustle pad.
Wow.
We are presented with an intriguing bronze figure retrieved from a box of trash. The guest initially mistook it for a prawn or shrimp. It was acquired from his brother 30 years ago. This item is actually a Japanese bronze crayfish dating back to the 19th century. It boasts a beautifully patterned shell, adding to its allure. Despite its perplexing appearance, this unique piece would fetch.
Would sell between $3,000 and $5,000.
Wow, that's a shock.
The guest inherited this painting from his grandparents, who got this as a gift from a friend. The appraiser revealed that this painting was rendered on German porcelain rather than canvas. Unlike canvas paintings, a porcelain artworks neither fade nor crack. They maintain their integrity even after 150 years. The painting was titled Admonition, painted by a painter from Dresden named Greg A. John. The tile was signed Dresden at the back with KPM mark which makes it quite rare yet authentic. The appraiser estimated this fine piece at
would probably be towards the low middle end now. I would put a value of certainly $20,000 to $30,000 or even $25,000 to $35,000 on the piece.
At first glance at this locket, you can immediately see its stunning beauty. Perhaps it's due to the beautiful face of the woman made from porcelain engraved on it. A closer look at the woman reveals her resemblance to a Viking queen.
Someone gave it to my mother. He had 4 daughters.
Because her hair is adorned with a band containing diamonds and rubies. This portrayal of the woman reflects the style typical of the Art Nouveau period, which spanned from around 1890 to 1910, indicating the period when the locket was made. The woman engraved on the locket symbolizes the immense creativity of the era. As a timeless piece depicting the creativity of an important period in history, this locket will likely auction for
I would expect it to bring somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
Investments can be tricky, especially when you're investing in an antique. About 6 months ago, our guest invested $800 in this artifact from an antique broker.
I purchased that piece from an antique broker in our area. Basically, I bought it for the gold weight to keep and not to get rid of, but for an investment.
This piece is an archaeological revival jewelry, a brooch made of gold. It is styled using the techniques used in Etruscan and Greek periods, which are recovered during excavations in Egypt, Rome, and Pompeii. There is fine granulation work on the edges of this piece. The image in the center depicts a character of great strength. Made in Italy and dating back to the 19th century, this twisted gold brooch is of great archaeological value and is worth
Makes it more unusual. You're looking at about $5,000 to $7,000 at auction.
Wow. Well, thank you
A
very
neat
much.
piece.
Yeah, now I'm really happy that.
An 18th century trade silver cross made its way onto the show. A cherished heirloom passed down from the guest's grandfather, which was crafted by Robert Cruikshank, often hailed as the Picasso of trade silver. This cross played a vital role in the fur trade era, exchanged with Native Americans. Despite its considerable size, which sometimes leads to misconceptions about its authenticity,
usually when you see something this big, and this is gargantuan,
this cross is indeed genuine.
However, I am 100% certain this one is real, and I also am pretty certain who made it.
This sizable silver artifact, distinguished by its intricate engravings, has a price value of
I estimate that this is worth between $12,000 and $18,000.
Oh my goodness.
Guest bought this painting at an estate sale for around $300 because she loved its colors and modernist appearance. Artist behind it is Andrew Michael Dasberg, a Taos school artist born in France who later immigrated to the United States.
Well, the artist's full name is Andrew Michael Dasberg. It's signed and dated over here on the left-hand side, Dasberg, 1962.
Dasberg's journey into art began in the early 1900s when he studied with traditional artists, but later found inspiration in modernism. Influenced by Picasso and Cézanne, Dasberg embraced Cubism, evident in this piece. By 1913, he gained recognition, exhibiting in the controversial Armory Show, which challenged traditional American art. Eventually, Dasberg settled in Taos, where he infused his Cubist style into desert landscapes and painted this in 1962. Appraiser reveals the painting's potential auction value.
You could reasonably expect it to fetch $20,000 to $30,000 at auction.
Oh my gosh. I'm absolutely astounded. I never expected.
The guest grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, where Dr. Seuss lived, and guest's grandmother knew him well. When the guest graduated, her grandmother requested Dr. Seuss to send something, and she surprised the guest with this Dr. Seuss signed painting. Dr. Seuss was famous for his children's books and wrote and illustrated more than 60 books. The appraiser discussed how Dr. Seuss is loved by children and how only a few of his original artwork is out there. The reason is that he donated all of his work to San Diego University, and they maintain his archive in their library. Interestingly, unlike his other drawings, this drawing is made on his own stationery with his name on the top, which makes it quite unique. The appraiser revealed that a few years back, someone started faking Dr. Seuss drawings, which pulled the market, but this original drawing could fetch
Something like this would bring about $6,000 on the auction market. Wow.
The guest presented a steam whistle, an heirloom passed down from his great-great-grandfather. Originally from a train, this steam whistle is a rare find due to its multiple-stage design. Remarkably, it came with a photograph showing it in use on the train.
Plus a picture of the train it actually came from. Having those two together are very...
although incomplete compared to its present condition. Despite this, its large size and allure make it highly appealing to railroad collectors. This captivating piece, accompanied by a historic photograph, would sell for
I might give an auction estimate between $2,000 and $2,500 for something this big. Yeah.
That's great.
We are presented with tales of silvered memories etched into these evocative photographs by a guest who inherited a collection of 4 vintage photographs from her aunt.
And these people lived on a plantation called Buckhorn Plantation.
These photographs were taken in the 1850s. However, not all of them are daguerreotypes. One of these photographs is an ambrotype, evident from its appearance. It is exceedingly rare to encounter photographs from pre-Civil War America like these displayed on the show. The 3 photographs, which include 2 ambrotypes and a daguerreotype, would fetch an auction value of
the 3 photographs there may be worth $200 or $300.
Another featured image is a daguerreotype showing an African American holding a book. This photograph is highly symbolic because in the early to mid-1800s, it was uncommon for African Americans to be depicted reading or appearing in a photograph with such a pose. At auction, this remarkable photograph is estimated to be worth
I would not be surprised to see that photograph sell for maybe as much as $5,000.
Oh my heavens.
It originated from their grandmother, who was raised in Memphis, Tennessee. The object exhibits a striking blue hue with a shimmering silver iridescence. Its surface is marked by indentations reminiscent of dimples, while boasting a captivating rippled top. Let's Art Glass, particularly from around 1900, is celebrated for its exquisite craftsmanship and innovative designs. The company excelled in glass blowing, particularly iridescence, lending their piece a mesmerizing ethereal quality. It represents a pinnacle of craftsmanship during the Art Nouveau period. The polished pontil at the base suggested it was free-blown, while the iridescence was applied and combed in a wavy pattern for decoration. It's red inside, though it looks blue outside. Metallic oxides create an iridescent sheen, giving the glass depth and allure. With a keen eye for detail and expertise, the appraiser valued the item, a Let's Art Glass vase,
Auction, it would bring about $3,000 to $5,000. Wow. It's a good I thought it was 20.
Most people have only read sea voyage stories. Not many have had the privilege of actually experiencing how it felt to be the captain of a ship. Today's item offers us that experience in the form of a sea captain's journal.
Journals within the last couple years. So it's all together now.
We also have here a scrimshaw tooth, which is just a fancy name used by whalers to describe engravings made on a tooth. One of the journals here describes how the captain was bringing goods to California in 1849. This is amusing, as that date was over 100 years ago, and despite being made from paper, the journals have stood the test of time. It is for this reason that the whole collection of journal and scrimshaw tooth is worth the auction price of
is probably in the $500 to $1,000 range. The journal from New Bedford is probably in the $1,000 to $2,000 range. I would say conservatively, and this is all retail value, conservatively it's in the $5,000 to $10,000 range.
The guest brought in a beautiful jade vase inherited from her husband's great-uncle Jake, a world traveler and collector with a discerning eye for Asian art. The piece is quite impressive and is a Chinese hue form, a specific type of vase meticulously crafted to resemble ancient bronze designs. There are various symbolic features on the vase like the mask, scrolls, and animal head, each detail contributing to the narrative and perceived age of the piece. The mask is what we call a taote. This interlace pattern is looking back to something called a liuwen design that you find on ancient Chinese bronze vessels. These elements were intentionally incorporated by the carver to evoke a sense of antiquity, further enhancing the value of the vase. The estimated vase's origin is between 1880 and 1900, placing it within the Qing dynasty. The most surprising detail, however, was the value, with the vase going for an auction price of
Qing dynasty. Today, if this came up for auction, we would expect it to sell between $8,000 and $12,000.
Okay. I am very surprised.
Inherited by this guest from his parents, acquired during their time in Japan. This item is particularly intriguing because it was entirely and carefully hand-painted. Depicted on the surface of the vase is a European scenery, featuring a thatched hut cottage and a lake with a sailboat. Additionally, this item originated from Japan, with the artist's signature on the front. Meanwhile, at the bottom, there's the mark of a maker, the Noritake company.
But it's made things all throughout the 20th century, and it's still a huge company today. It is an unusual mark. It includes the word Nippon in it.
Fascinatingly, the guest also brought the original wooden box of the vase.
Unusual form for Noritake. Traditionally, when people think of Noritake, especially in this time period, they think of rather inexpensive things.
It is uncommon to find a vase like this with its box still intact, and the interesting provenance of the item places its value at auction to be around.
With the box, this would probably sell for between $5,000 and $7,000.
Oh, that's great.
Guest's great-grandfather was a surgeon in the Civil War, and the guest was unsure if this was a wedding gift or a thank you gift for surgery by a Navajo chief. The guest believed it was Ute chief named Coloro, and both guest's great-grandfather and chief were companions who used to share war stories together. The appraiser confirmed the story that Coloro was indeed a Ute chief, and he lived from 1808 to 1888. The appraiser identified the blanket as Second Phase's chief blanket made by Navajo, who started making these blankets in the early 19th century. First Phase blankets had white and brown stripes, but these Second Phase had these boxes and border designs and were made in the 1840s. This particular blanket dates back to the 1850s and featured stunning natural dyes such as indigo, brown, and ivory, complemented by a red dye derived from bugs. The blanket had a lot of restoration process too, which was done even before the guest's great-grandfather received it. Knowing that these blankets were highly valued and was indeed an expensive gift, the appraiser estimated this blanket to be
in this condition, without any restoration, I think your blanket could easily sell at auction for $60,000 to $80,000.
Our guest acquired these prints from a friend. These pieces are original screen prints done by Andy Warhol. Warhol was an American artist, filmmaker, and leader of the pop art movement in the 1960s. The Fiesta Pig print was done in 1979, while the Turtle print was done in 1985.
Each one is clearly signed, and each one is numbered. Fiesta Pig is an edition of 200. Turtle is an edition of 250.
Both prints were influenced by and depicts different things.
A pig in the aftermath of a party. The turtle was completed 2 years subsequent to his having done a series called Endangered Species.
These works of art from someone known for his colorful silkscreen prints would each be worth
Fiesta Pig would probably be offered at around $8,000 to $12,000. Turtle would be in at $30,000 to $50,000.
Okay, great. It's exciting.
This stained glass basket with silver plate is a cherished family heirloom. It was passed down to the guest by her mother. The silver plate, made by Wilcox in Meriden, Connecticut, dates back to around 1875. Quite fascinating, the satin glass bowl, with its unique print top and blue underside, is a rare and beautiful find.
And the silver was made separately with the Wilcox company, and then the glass would have been made by numerous companies.
The bowl features a stunning blue herringbone pattern, gilt detailing, and intricate ruffling along the edges, all in perfect condition.
The interesting thing, too, is the shape of the piece. It's a heart-shaped piece, very unusual in satin glass.
However, this piece is not just a decorative item, but also a testament to the craftsmanship and elegance of its time. That's worth.
If you saw this in a fine antique show, you would see a retail value of $2,500 to $3,500.
Wow. That's exciting.
This guest presented a collection of letters on the show, one of which is dated July 20th, 1933, and originates from the legendary Jim Thorpe. Thorpe was an American athlete and Olympic gold medalist. Interestingly, these items were acquired by the guest from her grandparents, who were next-door neighbors with Thorpe in California. Contained within one of the letters are details of Thorpe's inquiry about his dogs, sent to the guest's grandfather, who helped take care of them when Thorpe was away.
That all the dogs are going good. How is Geronimo doing?
Another letter contains details of Thorpe's financial struggles at the time.
For the years, that just because they are the greatest at what they do doesn't mean that A, they aren't human, and B, they don't fall on hard times.
While a third features Thorpe's expressing frustration about his marital life. Remarkably, these letters are perfectly preserved and are all personally handwritten by Thorpe. This places the value of the collection at auction to be around.
I would say if you were putting this out at auction that it would sell for probably in the range of $5,000.
Wow.
And if I were going to insure it, I'd insure it for $10,000.
Wow.
Inherited from their late aunt, the item had hung in her rec room for years, believed to be from New Zealand. The Maori Kotiate is a New Zealand war club with a flat, oval-shaped blade, used in close combat by indigenous Maori people. It's called a Kotiate, which translates to split liver. It's a close combat weapon with a flat oval-shaped blade, usually crafted from wood or whalebone. The lobes are crafted from whalebone with abalone shell intricately inset. A mythological creature is depicted below, adding a touch of mystique to the piece. In the weapon's center was a thong, preventing it from slipping in battle. In battle, the Kotiate delivered devastating blows with swift precision. The Kotiate symbolizes Maori tradition and legacy. Its historical significance and craftsmanship are precisely what the appraiser values the item for.
At auction, this item could be expected to fetch between $12,000 and $15,000.
Wow, that's a famous idea, but it's worth of what it was, and thank you for,
you're quite welcome.
This has been in the family for generations, passed down from great-great-grandparents. Hair jewelry, popular in the Victorian era, was a unique and sentimental adornment. Georgia's jewelry industry, initially influenced by English settlers, thrived until the late 19th century. In the 1850 locket, they found their great-great-grandparents' hair. Grandmas and grandpas intertwined. Two hair colors imply a shift from blonde to darker hues, perhaps reflecting childhood and maturity stages. The intricate weaving showcased the arduous task it entailed. Hair from a departed loved one is woven into jewelry, like brooches and necklaces, enclosed in glass lockets or frames. They offer a glimpse into the sentimental customs and personal connections of the past. They also possess earrings and a charming brooch featuring a love knot with clasped hands at its center, symbolizing affection. The American hair jewelry mesmerized as the appraiser valued the item.
Monetary value of this is about $900.
This banjo originally belonged to the guest's grandfather and has remained in the family since then. The guest discovered the banjo in the attic at age 15 and made a deal with his parents. Repair it in exchange for music lessons. However, military service interrupted his learning. Later, when he tried to sell it, a store owner offered any guitar and amplifier in exchange, indicating its value. The guest expressed attachment to the instrument, preferring to keep it for sentimental reasons. The appraiser acknowledged the banjo's significance as a family heirloom and praised the guest for retaining it. The appraiser discussed the banjo's rarity and historical value, noting its production in 1935, a coveted era for Gibson instruments. Despite the challenges of playing the banjo, the appraiser highlighted its quality, originality, and condition. Emphasizing its desirability among collectors, the appraiser estimated its insurance value at
For insurance purposes, I would probably put about $6,000 or $7,000 on it.
Okay.
Market value, you find them out there in the $4,000 to $5,000 range. Okay. But this is in fabulous condition.
A bedstead was acquired by the guest through a mortgage arrangement with a friend. The appraiser identified the item as a Renaissance Revival oak bedstead. It likely originated from France and was imported to Canada around the 1880s. The beautiful piece reflected the Victorian-era Renaissance revival trend, which incorporated motifs from the 15th and 16th centuries. The bed's intricate carvings depicted symbolic elements related to sleep and dreaming. The headboard featured a wise owl, symbolizing nighttime wisdom, overseeing the sleeper. Moreover, the appraiser pointed out a medallion depicting the sons of the god of sleep, Morpheus, Icelus, and Phantasus.
On the right-hand side here is Phantasus, and here he is with his elbow perched on a skull, and he's actually thinking about the next nightmare that he's going to dream up. You have another god who's sculpting out the dream.
The captivating details of the piece confirmed its importance and suggested its monetary worth as,
and this bed is worth about $8,000 to about $10,000 or $11,000 is an auction estimate.
Interesting.
In 1930, the guest's mother bought this doll named Ella Smith, also known as an Alabama Indestructible or Roanoke doll, for 50 cents.
My other dolls, they were pretty and nice, and I still have some of those. I did decide to keep it because it was one of the first dolls I had.
Once, someone offered guests $2,000 for it, but she refused the offer. She told that the other doll belonged to her great-aunt and is a Colombian doll from New York. It's a stockinette doll, hand-painted with blue painted boots. Despite some wear and tear, it's in pretty good condition. Appraiser confirmed that the Colombian doll is also a southern doll called a Maggie Bessie.
The doll was made by two sisters, Margaret and Elizabeth, therefore Maggie and Bessie.
Maggie Bessie dolls crafted in Old Salem, North Carolina were limited to about 500 pieces, originally sold for just $1. Doll has a German body with bisque hands. Doll originally had a bisque head but was repaired with a Maggie Bessie head. He's a boy doll with a side part hairdo, which is rare. Boy's eyes are usually brown, but his blue eyes make him even more unique. Appraiser meticulously assesses each doll individually.
Not blue, so that's unusual too. Well, retail value for this very rare North Carolina doll would be between $12,000 and $15,500.
You'll have to say that again.
The guest inherited a fascinating Civil War-era artillery saber during a childhood trip with his mother. He was exploring an old pack house on the family property when he stumbled upon the relic hidden beneath debris. The sword is a product of Thomas Griswold and Company, a prominent retailer established in 1861 in New Orleans. The company was a major supplier of military equipment during the Civil War, and their artillery sabers were particularly well regarded for their quality and craftsmanship. One of the distinguishing features of Griswold artillery sabers was the scabbard. Unlike most artillery sabers, which had scabbards made of iron, Griswold often used copper and brass for their scabbards. These materials were not only visually appealing but also offered greater resistance to rust and corrosion, especially in the humid climate of New Orleans. The guest revealed he had it appraised before, and it was told it was worth around $10,000. This might have been accurate around 2000, when the market for Confederate artifacts was at its peak. However, the market has softened since then, placing the current value at...
Sword at that time probably would have brought $12,000, even $14,000. They've taken a hit along with a lot of things, and in today's world, it's probably worth more like $8,000.
Here we have a collection of Dr. Seuss books with a fascinating backstory. The guest inherited this collection from their grandmother, who worked as Dr. Seuss's secretary in the late 1930s and early 1940s. There are several Dr. Seuss classics, some first editions, and later paintings. There are inscriptions in some of the books that is dedicated to the guest's grandmother, possibly a parting gift when she left her position. The value of all the books is $800 to $1,200.
Lack dust jackets, so they're not in mint condition, but I would average these out at sort of $800 to $1,200 each.
However, one book stands out from the rest with the title, The King Stalks. It features an original Dr. Seuss illustration within its pages.
It's signed by him at the foot. We can see that.
To top it all off, the book is signed by Dr. Seuss himself. The appraiser estimates the book worth at a staggering...
The value of this leaps, and I'd like to say $15,000 to $25,000. Wow. Or maybe perhaps a little more, then that's an auction estimate.
A postcard was inherited by the guest from her husband's grandfather's scrapbook. The postcard contained an autograph of the legendary baseball player Lou Gehrig. The appraiser emphasized Gehrig's outstanding performance in 1936, a prime season in his career.
He was the league MVP. They won the World Series. He made the All-Star team for the 4th straight year. He led the league in home runs with 49, with runs scored with 167.
The postcard, postmarked from St. Petersburg, Florida in March 1936, was from Gehrig's spring training with the New York Yankees. The rarity of the signature's timing, coupled with its provenance, contributed to its high value. Moreover, the appraiser commended the excellent condition of the postcard and observed the signature was made with strong graphite. Considering the historical significance and pristine condition, the assessed value was between.
So we would put an estimate on this, a retail value of $10,000.
I'm stunned.
Filled with curiosity, presents an intriguing garment, a waistcoat. The appraiser identified it as an 18th century waistcoat, crafted sometime between 1760 and 1780. This amazing waistcoat's style places it firmly within the mid to late 18th century.
I was born in where my parents lived for a few years before they moved to upstate New York.
It had become popular attire in America as early as the 1740s.
This men's fashions do not change as fast as women's do.
A beautiful embroidery that would have adorned both the waistcoat and its accompanying coat, a testament to the lavish aesthetics of the period.
Turn this just a little bit this way, we can see that this is indeed a pocket that is made into the skirt of the waistcoat.
He would have completed the ensemble with knee-length breeches, a stark contrast to the full-length pants of today. A pocket incorporated into the skirting is a practical accoutrement for the gentleman to carry small personal items. In today's market, such a waistcoat could fetch between.
And if you went to a high-end retail market, you would expect to pay somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 for this waistcoat.
This guest shares the interesting story of his family heirloom, which he exhibited on the show.
Great-great-grandfather was a Western painter, Harvey Young, and this was a friend of his.
The item is a vase made by Van Briggle. Van Briggle, who had a significant impact on the Art Nouveau movement in the United States, and his pottery is foundational to American art pottery.
He was a famous artist, worked in Cincinnati, he had tuberculosis, went to Colorado Springs because the salubrious climate was thought to be best for people suffering from that disease.
Upon inspecting the bottom of the piece, we can see an AA mark, the date 1904, and a Roman numeral 3. The particular design of this vase is called Climbing for Honey, which is depicted on the piece by the bear figure at its rim. Furthermore, the piece has 2 different glazes, the background glaze and a matte green glaze. There's a little bit of damage on this vase, particularly on one of the bear's ears. The damage incurred doesn't have any impact on the value of the item, and at auction, this vase would fetch
maybe as much as $30,000 to $40,000. It's a major piece of Van Briggle.
Wow, that is amazing.
The guest brought in a beautiful doll inherited from her great-aunt, sparking a conversation about the doll's origins and value. The doll is a German-made Kämmer and Reinhardt doll, crafted in 1917, a bit later than the guest had anticipated. This particular doll, christened model number 117 by the manufacturer, was a popular choice among doll collectors. Unlike some of the more unsettling dolls of the era with their vacant stares and gaping mouths, this doll was known for her serene expression and closed mouth. This feature contributed to the doll's enduring appeal. The doll's body was made of a composition material, a common technique used by doll makers during that period. This material, typically a mixture of sawdust, glue, and other substances, allowed the doll makers to create realistic features while maintaining affordability. Despite its age, the doll remained in exceptional condition. Her fingers are all intact and her limbs are firmly strung, indicating careful handling over the years. Even the original mohair wig, though a bit matted, could be restored to its former glory by a skilled professional. Overall, the doll presented beautifully, and at auction could fetch
Measure it. The value of the doll in a retail setting would be between $3,500 and $4,500.
That's nice.
A remarkable piece of family history lies in a collection of items: a pocket watch, a medal, and a cigarette case. The guest's grandfather earned these items for his acts of bravery by saving 11 lives.
This is a picture of the launch that your grandfather owned
During the British steamship explosion, Alam Shine of Cardiff, on March 7, 1913. The J.W. Benson Demi Hunter pocket watch was more than a unique. It's a nod from the British government.
Master of the launch, Jerome of Baltimore, in acknowledgement of his humanity and kindness to the survivors of the crew of the British steamship.
Made in England for fox hunts, this pocket watch allows one to check the time without opening it. A George V. Medal, awarded for valor in saving lives, inscribed with a tribute to good use's bravery. Lastly, a 9-karat gold English cigarette case, a gift from the ship's owner and captain. While individually valued, their true worth lies in their collective significance.
A picture of your grandfather. The watch itself as just a regular antique pocket watch.
Their monetary value, along with the photographs, is considerable, ranging from
Would probably be something that a collector would want to pay about $1,500 for. Your medal would bring in the $200 to $300 price range, and the cigarette case is something that would be in maybe the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Purchased at an auction in Louisville, this collection of prints represents the entirety of the guest's and her husband's art collection. Our guest left the bidding to her husband, resulting in the acquisition of prints ranging from $500 to $1,000 each. While most prints were reproductions, including works by Rembrandt, Degas, and Renoir, one stood out as an original etching by Renoir titled Chapeau épinglé, or The Pinning of the Hat.
Pinning of the hat. And this is the first etched version of the chapeau épinglé that Renoir did. He made this print in the 1890s. And it's something that is not as common as the later versions.
The original Renoir etching holds significant value, estimated at
auction, $4,000 to $6,000, towards the high side for that. So $4,000 to $6,000, adding all that up with that one print.
Contrasting sharply with the decorative reproductions, which hold minimal value. The appraiser praised the guest's boldness in purchasing at auction and emphasized the importance of knowing the value and authenticity of artworks, suggesting using a magnifying glass to identify reproductions.
To tell a reproduction this way is to hold a magnifying glass to it. Okay. And if you see a uniform pattern of dots, that is indicative of a reproduction.
A rare Colt revolver was brought, a piece of history from both the Wild West and the Middle East. This revolver, produced by Samuel Colt in Paterson, New Jersey, is a significant relic from the early 19th century, one of the earliest models, dating back to around 1837. It's one of the earliest models embodying Colt's innovative design. Before its invention, most pistols were flintlocks capable of only one shot. With Colt's revolver, the user had 5 shots before reloading. The pistol uses tiny caps to ignite explosives, enabling multiple shots.
Cylinder against the barrel, and it lined it up, because before that it was always a bit haphazard, and if you hadn't got it lined up, the thing would blow up.
It was a breakthrough in firearm tech, firepower, and efficiency.
You pull it, and the hammer falls, and that would set off the percussion cap, which in turn sets off the powder charge.
Its historical importance and rarity make it an extraordinary piece, elevating its worth to...
If it is, then I think it's got to be £150,000.
Oh, well.
Midst a myriad of items, a particularly heavy vase caught the eye. Upon closer inspection, a faint etching on the bottom can be noticed. The etching revealed the name Steuben, a renowned name in clear glass and figurines. However, this vase was different. It had a semi-transparent quality, akin to a sunny-side-up fried egg. It was a Steuben Clothra piece, crafted in a delicate lavender hue between 1915 and 1933. Noteworthy was the presence of the fleur-de-lis mark, a symbol of authenticity.
Find these types of pieces. I believe the shape is 2683.
In pristine condition, the vase bore the shape number 2683, further adding to its provenance.
dollar shopping trip. This was an estate sale in Seattle.
Correct.
This ethereal quality lavender vase was valued at.
So this particular piece today would be worth about $2,500.
Get out.
There are many odd collections that antique lovers have, but these action Cupid dolls seem to top the list.
I gave it to her daughter, and she ultimately gave it to me.
For most people who don't like horror, these dolls would be a nightmare of a collection. But to those who can easily identify an antique of value, these items would be the cream of the crop. These dolls were created likely around 1913 till 1920.
Up into the 1920s, so it was probably bought in New York as a little gift for her room.
And despite being old, they have still maintained their originality. The doll holding the baby is called an action Cupid because it is doing something, which in this case is holding babies. At the time of their creation, these dolls were the pinnacle of innovation, and it's for this reason that they auction at the whopping price of
Probably retail between $4,000 and $5,000.
Really?
Yeah, really. I mean, it's
Whoa.
a very rare action Cupid.
It's not every day we see today's item, because unlike most antiques that are heirlooms, this one is a surfboard. And so to the normal antique lover, it might not look like it's worth a lot. But to surfboard collectors, it is almost priceless, as it ties in with their interests. Perhaps what's most intriguing about this surfboard is that it is 9 foot long.
You've brought is this fantastic 9 foot 6 inch,
which is unconventional for most surfboards. This feature alone distinguishes it and increases the value to make it auction at.
Blue Machine is one of the most sought after. At auction, this would probably be in the $5,000 to $8,000 range.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, better than $50.
It's not every day you see a map depicted on tile, but the Spanish are known for their brilliant innovations.
It's made in the Spanish tradition of what we call majolica, or tin-glazed earthenware.
So it is no wonder that they were able to accurately depict a map on a Molucca tile. Likely created around 1925, this Molucca is a tiny glazed pottery that is decorated in colors on a white background. We can see here that this Molucca is hand-painted, and this follows a history that has been preserved for over 600 years. As a representation of Spanish expertise, this Molucca tile map surely auctions at a hefty price of.
It was in a good antique shop, properly presented. Even though it's not really that old, there's no reason not to put a price on it of $3,000 or $4,000.
Guest found this painting in Winnetka, Illinois, decades ago and loved its impressionistic style. She paid $350 for it. Guest mentioned that a restorer in Chicago identified the artist. Artist is Anthony Thiem, who was born in Rotterdam in 1888. He settled in Rockport, Massachusetts, known for his street scene paintings. This painting, titled Rainy Day, depicts a typical Rockport street scene from the 1930s or 40s. He employed heavy brushstrokes in his impressionistic clean air style.
There is a really broad range for his work. His harbor scenes in Rockport tend to bring the highest prices, but then his street scenes also bring pretty good prices.
Thiem's work varies widely in price. This painting could sell for.
At auction, I think this painting would sell in the $10,000 to $15,000 range.
That's great.
Only a few people can boast of taking breathtaking photos, and Ansel Adams is right up there with them. As one of the best photographers America has produced, Ansel Adams is an expert at his craft of photography.
It is an Ansel Adams photograph.
Taking pictures that make you feel like you were in the setting, while also using his skills to promote environmental sustainability. As an experienced photographer known for depicting nature in photos, this photograph will fetch a value of.
Conservatively in the $3,000 to $4,500 range. I bought more.
The guest presented an outboard motor belonging to her father, who was an avid hunter and fisherman. The item was identified as an Evinrude Light Twin Outboard, ELTO, motor. It was a line of outboard motors manufactured by the Evinrude Company, renowned for their reliability. The appraiser provided historical context about the company. The motor exhibited an innovative design, where only the rudder moves instead of the entire motor, making it convenient for small fishing boats. Dating back to the 1920s, the Elto motor represented significant American technological advancement. Designed to be lightweight and efficient, they became popular among boaters of the time. Given the parameters, the value suggested was around
You should insure this for $1,200 to $1,500.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Guest inherited a beautiful ink stand, a cherished family heirloom passed down for generations. The object isn't actually an inkstand, but a desk set comprising a pounce pot and a nib wipe. The pounce pot, a container for special drying powder, was used in the past to dust over freshly written letters to absorb excess ink and prevent smudging. The nib wipe, the other part of the set, served to clean the pen nib. It has a delicate design and is estimated to be Georgian-era old Sheffield plate, dating back to around 1770 to 1780. While the object is of historical significance and is beautiful, the market for old Sheffield plate isn't as strong as it once was. Younger collectors aren't drawn to these pieces as much as previous generations. Despite this, the estimated value is,
notwithstanding, I think at auction it should be worth something $600 to $800, something like that. Yeah.
Very nice.
fire outbreaks rank among the leading natural disasters. Our guest, having served as a fireman, has demonstrated his admiration for firefighters
today when somebody sent me a helmet and that was it. I got the bug and it's just escalated ever since.
How many helmets now?
Through his unique collection of fireman helmets. This collection depicts the development of the fire services spanning back to the 1880s when the firemen were part of the Army and utilized military-style steel helmets. Included in the collection is the High Eagle helmet from the 1900s, made of leather due to the invent of electricity, which caused the helmets to electrocute firefighters.
Sort of molded materials.
That's right.
So when you were in service, what were you wearing?
One similar to that one down there with the two red stripes on.
Yeah.
Alongside various other helmets made from different materials. This collection is a treasure trove of history, estimated at
That's right.
So that's creeping up to 25,000,
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You can tell the story of the fire service better than anybody else.
It's a stainless steel meat serving cart, and it boasts a unique history and some remarkable design features. This cart was acquired at a Janasaguara warehouse auction. Janasaguaga was a prominent figure in the town's history. They arrived in the early 1950s and started a restaurant.
When he bought it. It's actually a piece that's from the 1930s, and it exhibits this great 1930s streamlined design.
Interestingly, some sources claim this cart might predate Janasaguara's establishment. The appraiser believes this cart is actually from the 1930s, not the 1950s. It exhibits the classic Art Deco streamlined design characterized by smooth, elongated curves. This style was hugely popular in the 1930s and was often likened to the sleek lines of Zeppelins. While the exact maker is unknown, its excellent condition and historical significance make it quite valuable. Based on these factors, an estimate of the cart's value is in the range of
A piece like this at auction would probably bring between $6,000 and $8,000. The value I'm putting on is based on it as just a wonderful, wonderful example.
Stunning vase catches the eye, a piece of Art Nouveau by the Quoizel Company. The Quoizel Company, founded in 1901, had roots in Tiffany, with key figures leaving to establish their own venture, Martin Bach Sr. and Thomas Johnson. The vase, once owned by artist Florence E. Ware, was then passed down to the guest. The design stands out with triple hooked decoration and a unique combination of blue and purple. The finely engraved Quoizel signature with a K prefix suggests a circa 1910 creation.
Bottom part. The color is nice. It's blue and it's purple instead of the standard, what you normally see, which would be a gold and a cream.
The surface bears some scratches, each with a whispered tail that slightly dims its value's shine. The vase is estimated to be worth
K number. I would say in a retail setting, I would place the value between $2,500 and $3,500. Really?
This print is a work of Hiroshi Yoshida, a renowned Japanese artist. Hiroshi Yoshida was famous for his depiction of the Wisteria Bridge. Created in the 1920s, this piece features Yoshida's signature in Japanese brush style, indicating its origin for the Japanese market. Despite lacking an English signature, its value in its current condition was estimated at
Print in this condition is about $1,400.
Wow.
Featuring on today's show is an owl vase, purchased at a flea market frequented by our guest. This porcelain vase, called the Moromura Brothers Owl Vase, was crafted in 1905. It bears the inscription Nippon underneath, indicating it's a Japanese piece. This beautifully crafted vase at auction would be worth,
An antique shop today, it would be perhaps $1,500.
Wow. These panels, originating from Wheeling, West Virginia, were salvaged from the front door of the guest's father's childhood home. Adorned with intricate designs of urns, leaves, flowers, and what the guest initially mistook for steamboats, these panels carry a significant historical connection to the Ohio River. The panels feature the logo of J&C Ritchie, also known as Wheeling Flint Glassworks. Despite the initial confusion, these panels are among the rarest examples of American lacy glass, crafted to mimic cut glass but made using a pressed glass technique. One panel from a similar set was auctioned in 2018, fetching an impressive
Came up for auction, and it sold for $3,200.
I am surprised. I'm very surprised.
This Bru Jun doll is a French doll made by the Bru Company, dating back to around 1880. This piece belonged to the guest's grandmother. Interestingly, these dolls are highly coveted by collectors and are considered the epitome of doll collecting. This particular doll has a bisque head and arms, with the shoes likely bearing the Bru Jun mark. However, despite the condition issue, this Bru Jun doll, a symbol of elegance, history, and craftsmanship, is priced at
should be worth between $12,000 and $15,000.
Wow.
This is the power of expertise and perfect attention to detail.
I don't really know too much about it because when you live in a house with something, you don't pay attention to it.
Used as a lawn or building decoration, this carved wooden American eagle represents the American dream, which is freedom and the right to succeed. Although it looks like it was created recently,
We should call attention to is the overall quality of the carving, and certainly it's, I would think, 100, 150 years old. This is carved out of a soft wood.
it is actually over 100 years old and was created around 1850. As a perfect depiction of the American dream, plus its attention to detail during its creation, this American carved eagle auctions for
For auction purposes, I would estimate its value certainly between $6,000 and $8,000. It's a splendid bird.
First glance, this item appears to be both a walking stick and a gun. Today, we're presented with a pistol cane, which our guest acquired through a trade for an old bottle. Crafted by Jacob Koons, one of the premier gunsmiths in Philadelphia.
His name is right under the hammer, J. Kunz, and it's a later spelling of his name. He originally spelled it K-U-N-T.
Known for his exquisite workmanship with air guns.
Meriwether Lewis took one of Jacob Kunz's air guns on the Lewis and Clark expedition. Is that right?
This item is truly one of a kind, was crafted in 1830. Due to its exceptional craftsmanship and rarity, at auction, this wonderful item is estimated to be worth
Really is worth $10,000 to $15,000.
$10,000 to $15,000.
$10,000 to $15,000.
I'm sure my friend will be contacting me.
French jewelry collection originates from Paris and is a testament to the exquisite craftsmanship of early 20th century design. The collection includes a dazzling 1920s diamond and platinum brooch,
Classic French Art Nouveau, done around 1900, 1910.
Additionally, there are old mine-cut diamond earrings from the same period, each weighing approximately a carat. Also, the collection features a classic French Art Nouveau necklace, known for its intricate design.
What do you think those are?
Pearls.
You
That's
think
all I
pearls,
know is
pearls?
pearls or pearls.
Well, they're a little small. I wish they stayed in the oyster a little longer.
Together, these pieces embody the sophistication and elegance of French jewelry that's valued at
Probably around $4,000. The earrings, I would say probably $2,500. The Art Nouveau necklace around $1,500.
memorabilia is significant because of the memories and connections they bring. And our guest today has brought us memorabilia from a burlesque star named Hinda Wasu. Wasu was a star stripteaser in burlesque. Burlesque is a form of theatrical entertainment characterized by comedy, parody, and female nudity. One of the pieces of memorabilia brought is a costume of Wasu's. Along with it is a 1950 Gruen watch.
Considered a 1950 Gruen, and they refer to it as a doctor's watch.
And the last piece is a ring given to Wasu by a colleague.
Of a forgotten entertainer.
Very true.
Burlesque has been around since the 1860s.
These memorabilia, collectively from a standout performer who always left a lasting impression on her audience, would have an auction value of...
So, if you put the entire archive together, I would put an estimated auction value of $3,500 to $4,500.
Okay, thank you, Lee.
Guest brought a miniature roll-top desk, also known as a salesman's sample. It originated from Chautauqua Lake, Jamestown, New York, where the guest's great-great-great-grandfather was in the woodworking business. The desk was a rare example of a salesman's sample, used to showcase furniture designs to potential customers.
This definitely dates from that 1890 period.
It was an iconic piece of American furniture from the late 19th century. It had a mechanical tambour roll that disappeared into the desk. This particular desk dated back to the 1890s and featured an opening file system that slides back into the desk. The desk had a few condition issues, but was still in good working order. This tiny titan of a desk packs a big punch with an estimated value at...
But I would put an auction estimate, which I think would be conservative, of $4,000 to $6,000.
My goodness.
This item serves as a perfect example of what somebody does with their imagination. This piece was made out of found objects obtained by our guest in Chicago in 1990.
So I like things like this, and this is a really elaborate one. So
this is a folk art spool table featuring a rugged patina from its time in the barn. The producer of this item is unknown, but
you call them turrets.
Right.
And this is a perfect example of what somebody does with their imagination.
But it is clearly an execution of creative imagination.
Very bright.
Right.
So I'll bet you the first time it went in somebody's house, it would be like, whoa, you walk by it and it would just bowl you over.
Despite the mystery surrounding its maker, this visually delightful piece would auction at a price of...
We're thinking for an insurance value in today's market, we would do somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500.
Well, that's great news.
The guest brought a table she acquired from a former roommate. It was small and compact, and the guest used it as a side table. The appraiser revealed that the table was designed by Jens Rhizome, a renowned 96-year-old American designer in the late 1950s. Rhizome is one of the originators of the mid-century American aesthetic, known for its simple and honest design. The table was in fantastic condition, good, honest, and clean. The appraiser estimated the true value of this table at...
And I think it would surprise me if this piece sold for less than $1,500.
Oh my God.
In the world of fine art, some paintings tell stories while others become legends, as seen with these pieces. Arthur Warhol, born in 1864, is renowned for his paintings of dogs. His works capture the animals' personalities, giving them a lively and expressive quality. One of the paintings, titled Rough-Haired Fox Terriers, showcases Warhol's skill in portraying the terriers' distinct characters, evident in their eyes and expressions. However, this painting is not considered an original work by Warhol, as the brushwork and details, such as the heavy-handed, differ from his style, but with an estimated value of...
Today, in the current market at auction, this Warhol of the two terriers would be valued at $15,000 to $20,000.
Show features a delicate glass dome brought in by our guest, who inherited it from her grandparents. Within the glass dome rests an anchor. On the surface of the anchor are delicately crushed fish scales, intricately carved so we can see through them. Additionally, leaves and veins are intricately carved onto the surface of the anchor.
Very fun example of this Victorian trend of creating these elaborate curiosities.
Synthetic pearls also adorn the piece. Such a stunning item in such pristine condition would undoubtedly fetch a significant auction value of around
I would expect this to have an estimate of around $1,500 to $2,000.
Wow.
And my advice to you would be to insure it for $3,000.
Okay.
The collection consists of 3 Christmas cards from the early 1940s featuring the famous racehorse Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit remains a popular and sought-after collectible, known for its remarkable racing career and underdog story. Likely from a time when Seabiscuit was at the peak of his fame. Collectibles related to Seabiscuit have been highly valued by enthusiasts, making these Christmas cards desirable items for collectors. At auction, these Christmas cards could fetch between $1,000 to $5,000. A footed bowl was presented, purchased by our guest at an estate auction. This piece is a hand-painted enamel made out of silver, hence its name, the Silver and Enamel Footed Bowl. This item bears an inscription indicating it was made in Vienna. This beautifully detailed and ornate bowl dates back to the 1880s. Such a remarkable silver-plated, hand-painted bowl would auction at
decoration. I'd say for auction somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500.
Really? That's great.
A Victorian writing desk with apparent uniqueness catches attention. It features Rococo Revival cabriole legs, a Renaissance edge crest, and Gothic doors, a characteristic Victorian-era amalgamation of great styles. Notably, a 5-point star emblem from the Lone Star State hints at its origin. The guest inherited it from her grandfather, who acquired it in 1875, passing it down through generations. An upper drawer reveals a label signed by A. Kempen, a cabinet maker from Austin, Texas. This desk, labeled by Kempen, is a rarity and a museum piece.
A little bit about how you first found the desk.
Well, my grandfather won it in a charity raffle in Austin about 1875.
Its unique provenance and documentation elevate its value to
I think the estimate, the range of auction estimate I put on this is about, in fact, $8,000 to $12,000.
The guest's treasure trove includes original Dr. Seuss lunchbox artwork. It was sourced from a Long Beach estate sale. These pieces, created by Aladdin in 1970, feature iconic characters like the Cat in the Hat and Horton. The collection includes the back panel depicting Horton and others, and the side panel adorned with the Sneetches, adding a whimsical touch. However, one missing panel is the one with the Cat in the Hat. Despite this, the artwork's authenticity is upheld, with the original stamps intact.
Or some of the lunchboxes, and that's all I know about them.
What you have here is some original artwork.
This impressive, unique find is valued.
Like this would easily bring between $10,000 and $15,000 at auction.
God, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.